The News First Finance Report.
Sri Lanka shows signs of recovery but must maintain reform momentum, says ADB.
The Asian Development Bank's annual flagship economic publication, the Asian Development Outlook April 2024, forecast Sri Lanka's economy to record moderate growth of 1.9% in 2024 and 2.5% in 2025 following 2 consecutive years of contractions. Sri Lanka is showing signs of recovery with green shoots emerging in the second half of 2023. Inflation has decelerated to single digits, foreign exchange reserves continue to be built up, and the exchange rate has appreciated. Tourist arrivals and remittance inflows continue to show a commendable recovery, while supply conditions have improved. ADB's growth forecast hinges on the continuation of reforms and better consumer and business sentiment. Timely completion of external debt restructuring will also support Sri Lanka's debt sustainability efforts. ADB Deputy Country Director for Sri Lanka, Utsav Kumar, said Sri Lanka has made commendable progress in implementing difficult policy reforms and stabilizing the economy in 2023. We are pleased to see the results of these reforms, with signs of recovery emerging. It is critical that Sri Lanka addresses the impact on the poor and vulnerable and also continues to implement reforms to address the underlying causes of the crisis and lay the foundation for fostering sustainable recovery, building resilience and reviving growth. Unquote.
IMF under pressure to cut billions of dollars in fees for large borrowers.
For years, the International Monetary Fund has collected billions of dollars in fees from its biggest borrowers, a practice that penalized those most in need. Now, with its coffers refilling and interest rates running high, the world's lender of last resort is considering giving them a break. The IMF released a statement last week saying that a number of its board members were open to reviewing policies around surcharges, the fees that it charges nations that borrow more than their allotted share or take longer to repay. The rates have climbed above 8% on some loans, with the burden carried by a handful of countries including Argentina, Egypt and Ukraine topping $6 billion. Brazil President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, as host of the Group of 20 this year, promised to make it a top issue amid his calls to reform the international financial system. The IMF describes the fees as a necessary part of its financial model, meant to discourage borrowing too much or taking too long to repay. Borrowers and their supporters say they drain resources needed for essentials such as food and healthcare and are increasingly punitive given faster inflation and higher interest rates. The board plans another meeting on the topic in June, according to people familiar with the process who asked not to be identified, discussing internal deliberations. The fees have been around for years, but higher global interest rates, particularly from the Federal Reserve and European Central Bank, mean that the total rate on some loans from the IMF is now more than 8%. That's double the level before the COVID-19 pandemic.
Lanka Satosa further reduces prices.
Lanka Satosa announced the reduction of prices for 4 essential commodities. The prices of sprats, imported Chinese onions, wheat flour and white kakulu rice have been reduced.
The News First Finance Report.